Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is David. Opposing the Matrix, how the heck are you? I am doing really good right here now, though. Thank you for asking, if you did. If not, hey, I'm going to do good anyway, you know? Okay. And I can't see myself on YouTube, so what's going on here? What is this? Hold on, folks. Just got a little bit of an adjustment to make here, I'm certain. Mamma mia. Okay, yeah, I'm going to try this here. Hey, I think we're getting somewhere. We are definitely getting somewhere. Okay, yeah, right there. Beautiful. Okay. All right, so good. We're live, folks, on all our venues here. We're live on YouTube, Rumble, Kick, Trovo, BitChute, Telegram, Facebook, Twitch, and I said Rumble, right? Yeah. Okay. So, all right. First order of business. Okay, if you want to consider it business. 1,000 pardons, I beg of you, for last Tuesday's show. It seems that I had surgery last week, folks, and they gave me a general general anesthetic. General amnesia. That's hilarious. And so it was still having an effect on me on Tuesday, and I didn't get a bunch of sleep the night before. My dog had passed away, so it was kind of a really weird time, and I just the lack of sleep caught up with me, and there was about, I counted them like maybe 4 times, maybe more, that I kind of went comatose for a brief period of time while I was talking, and it was just bizarre. Okay, it was bizarro land, and but then, that's the past. The water is under the bridge, and it's heading toward the ocean. I never have to see it again, and unless I look at the video. Oh, I'm not doing that ever. Okay. Boy, the marvels of modern technology, huh? I'm coming through what's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different venues right now. What a blessing it is, to be able to come through 9 different things at the same time, simultaneously. Ooh, I like that word, simultaneously. Okay, so I promise no sleep tonight until the show's over, that is. Tonight we're going to talk about this thing that everybody else is talking about, or it seems that way anyway. This thing that's called 3-Eye Atlas, whatever it is, that came into our solar system and is right now, or I think it's come out from behind the sun, metaphorically speaking, and now it's viewable again. So anyway, we'll see if it made any course corrections or anything. But this thing is acting totally bizarre, man. It really is. It's normal comets will come into our solar system. They go right toward the sun, not into the sun, but toward it, go around it, and then head back out, kind of in the same direction, but not, maybe a few degrees off from where they came in, depending on their trajectory. But anyway, this thing came in like a house fire, and it's it came in, what did they say, 300,000 miles an hour or something like that. I think that was the highest figure I've ever heard. 300,000. I heard 180. I've heard 200, but I've heard 300 too. So let's give it a rounding applause of the speed champion of the year. It's now it has to have made a little bit of course correction, because the gravity of the sun must have done that, unless it's got a propulsion system, and they're able to correct for that. And if that thing doesn't make a little bit of a turn, then it's really suspicious. But so let's see. I'm a bad host. I forgot to say the date. Today is, what is it? The 30th of November. Ooh, it's getting up there, getting close to that time when everybody goes broke because they buy Christmas presents that they can't afford for everybody in the universe. Let's see. It is, now it's 7:04 Pacific time, but before that it was 7 o'clock. Actually, 6:59 is when I hit all the buttons. So anyway, so now that we got that out of the way, yeah, so this thing is acting erratically. And, Yeshua said that before he came back, and it says several times in Scripture too, that that there's going to be signs in the heavens. And I mean, some of the signs are drastic, like blood, fire, and pillars of smoke. And We haven't seen those yet, but hey, he promised they'd be here, so they'll be here one of these days. And hopefully we won't be here to see it. Wouldn't that be nice if we wouldn't be here to see it? And a little thing that's called the rapture is going to happen. Not might, it's going to happen. Whether it's right at the beginning of this time of trouble, a 7-year period of trouble, or whether it's in the middle. There's no way it's at the end. I'm sorry, but so I tend to lean towards the middle, and I know a lot of people lean toward the beginning, and that's okay. This is something we should not let tear us apart, although many people get torn apart by it. It's a little area of dogma of our religion, our faith, that seems to trip people up, and it's like challenging their whole faith by a little bit of it, and it's not right, and it shouldn't be done. And someday there's going to be we're all going to be judged, not to where we're going to be punished or anything, but the punishment will be that those of us who believed in Yeshua and got things wrong, and then caused consternation with our brothers and sisters, and things like that, made mountains out of molehills and stuff. The punishment, I think, is going to be that we're not going to get as much as we would have gotten had we just abided by Yahweh's rules and regulations, and not made an ass out of ourselves, right? Okay, and we all do it. Okay, all right. I'm talking about making an ass out of ourselves. I know I have many times, and I have got the family members that'll testify that it's true. Okay, all right. I want to greet my family members who might be watching on Facebook. I know 2 or 3 of you do, and greetings. Good to have you here. It's good that you are visiting me in Oregon. And I'm visiting you wherever you are, whether it's in Florida or just down in California or wherever. So, oh yeah, I've got the Rumble chat room up, and I think the chat room is up on YouTube too. So if you wanted to, blurp in and say something, that's fine. And I will not, I will not be typing back by type. I will not be answering back by typing, because this here, I can do, but I can't do if I'm typing or anything like that. So. And ladies, you're right. You've always said us men can do one thing at a time, and we get tripped up when we try to multitask. Well, I'm going to totally agree with you, okay? So, anyway, let's get down to brass tacks, shall we? I wonder where that term ever came from, brass tacks. Maybe we'll do a show on that. Weird little English idioms that defy explanation. Okay, so I made up this nice little thing that I read from. It's kind of an outline, and it really comes in handy. When I used to do this free willy-nilly, with ad-lib, and yeah, it worked really good. But every once in a while, you run out of stuff to say, and then you're stuck here. What was I going to do? Okay. So tonight we're talking about 3i Atlas, the cosmic visitor. Is it? Well, I'm going to put a little subtitle in there. Is it natural, or is it manufactured? Okay. Now we got some videos to watch about that too. Really, there's only 2 theories about this thing, but I've postulated a third one. Okay. And if it ever comes up to become a popular theory, I get the credit. Not that I do anything with it, Oh, who is he? Oh, he's the guy that came up with that theory about 3i Atlas and changed the whole world. No. No, hardly. Sorry, folks. It's just a little, I think that made it worse. That's great. Okay, so let's shall we move on? Yeah, I'm done talking about myself and about everything else, but what we're supposed to talk about tonight. Okay. So, my classic. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and aliens living or hiding behind the sun. Again, welcome back to Opposing the Matrix. If you've been here before, if not, welcome. Okay. And I hope we have a very fruitful and fun show tonight. Okay. So it's Thursday night, and we're we're going to talk about something that's not from around here. It's not from around these folks. These parts, folks, not from around these parts. Okay, how's that for my 1800s Midwestern or Western vernacular. Man, I wish I could get this going. Okay. Let's see. No, I'm talking about a cosmic visitor. Okay, it's not. Well, it could be aliens. I don't know, but it's definitely out there. And you're going just like you. Okay. So so there's a strange wandering interstellar object that scientists are calling 3I Atlas. So some say it's a comet. Okay. Some say it's a probe from the aliens. Okay, that's a possibility, and we'll look at that tonight. Why? Okay. And let's get things straight right off the bat. There are no such thing as extraterrestrials. Okay. They're interdimensional beings that we call angels, and their counterparts, the fallen angels, and these are the ones that perpetrate all these sightings. They're the Greys, they're the Nordics, they're the insectoids, and everything else. An angel can make himself look like anything he wants to. Okay, and I say he because yes, it's a male entity. All angels are. Sorry, ladies, but no, it's not the way it is. You. You're not guilty of this, or anything else for that matter. Okay, all right. So some say it's a comet, some say it's a probe from aliens, some say, hey, maybe it's just bad timing for us to notice this thing. Whatever it is, it's here. Okay, there's no doubting that. It's plastered all over the news, except for the mainstream media is not talking about too much yet. Okay, I put that yet in there with a capital Y. Okay. So tonight we're going to dig into the science, the speculation, and the cosmic weirdness. And you, yes, you, listening, are going to help me figure this out. And if we don't, at least we'll postulate it after the show, and then maybe come back another time, and we'll have a very large audience contributing to a conversation. Okay. I don't think you need to know the tags that I use for this. You can look at them; they're online. Okay, so let's break down this. Let's break this down nice and simple. By the way, I forgot I got my dog in here. Hey, Broccoli, you want to say hi? Come on, Rock. Up, come on. Let's do a nod. Come on. No, not dear. Up. Okay, I'm going to give up on you. That's all. When I don't want him to get up on my lap, I can't keep him off, you know. Okay. So let's break this down to where it's nice and simple. 3I Atlas was spotted in July of 2025 this year by the Atlas Survey in Chile. Okay. That stands for Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System. Last alert. That's kind of scary, isn't it? This is the last chance you're getting. You're going to die. Okay. Yeah, pretty fancy, but at the same time, pretty freaky. Okay. That's a fancy name. Okay, I know, but here's the thing, all right? Down to brass tacks, like I said. This isn't your run-of-the-mill asteroid, nor is it your run-of-the-mill comet. It's a hyperbolic, meaning it came from outside our solar system. And the neat thing about it is, an unusual thing about it, it's following the elliptic plane of the. In other words, if you were to lay if you were to lay a line out straight, you would see that most of the planets rotate the sun in that fashion. Okay, and there's a very, very small difference, except there's one planet, I think it's Neptune or something, that kind of goes a little astray. But anyway, so if you were to come towards our solar system, like from let's call it the equator of the solar system. That's a good way to do it. You could come in from the north of it or from the south of it. I know there's no directions in space, but hey, man, nobody's getting in on the chat yet. Okay. So anyway, that's the way it's coming in. It's coming in very fast. Okay, very, very fast. It's a visitor. It doesn't belong here, of course, right? It's just cruising through Its measly little life is happened to encounter our solar system, and then it's gonna leave if it's well, let's say it's supposed to leave. Okay, okay. Some say that it's moving at 130,000 miles an hour. Again, I've heard I've heard all different kinds of numbers with that, up to 200,000, even 300,000. That's faster than your cousin Tony driving to the corner store after seeing a sale on cannoli. Okay, bad joke. Oh, cannoli would be so nice right now. By the way, I think congratulations are in order. I've lost about 50 pounds in the last month or so. So, hey, what do you think about that, huh? And I'm healthy. Healthy enough. Okay, and get this now. It's the third interstellar object ever discovered. Now, they're saying interstellar, and that's quite possible. Hold on. Maybe that's what I needed. Okay. Interstellar means between stars. Like our closest star is at Alpha Centauri, and what is it? I think it's 4.3 light years away. So if you're traveling at the speed of light, which is 186,000 miles in a second, it would take you 4.3 years to get there and 4.3 years to get back. But things on Earth would be much different by the time you got back, because the theory of relativity and the inflation of time, and it's just it's a subject for another show. Okay. So the first one was named, forgive me if I mess this up, Oumuamua, and the second one was 2I Borisov. Tiny club here, very exclusive, except you're going to find out tonight there's a fourth one. Okay. Oh, yeah, you didn't know that, did you? All right. Okay. So let's see here. Now, this comets have different, where they have signatures. They have a corona around the front, then they have a tail that comes out the back. Okay, and as that thing gets closer to the sun, the tail always gets bigger, because it's melting, it's losing a lot of itself in the solar system, because like I said, melting and things like that, and when they go by, they leave behind a lot of junk. So if we happen to go through one of the trails of where a comet has been, usually we'll have one heck of a meteor shower. This is terrible. My voice is like messed up. Okay. So it has a coma. That's a gas and dust cloud formed around it. And it's developing a tail. Okay. Or it has developed a tail. This article was a little old. Scientists are watching it carefully because its chemistry is unusual. It has high carbon dioxide, water ice, which is unusual. It's behaving like a comet, but it's got quirks that make people go, what could that be? And there could be I think I might have found the reason why, and I'll tell you later. Okay. All right. Why mainstream media isn't freaking out? Okay. They should be. If something comes barreling through the solar system, damn well they should be. Well, excuse me, darn well they should be. It should be plastered all over the news, and things like this usually are, but for some reason this isn't. Okay, and I think that's because of the deep state and stuff, and it's a long and complicated process, but they are mum on the subject quite a bit. All right, and now you might ask something like, Saul, why aren't I seeing this on CNN, MSNBC, Fox, and even on TikTok trending? Well, for starters, it's faint. Okay, it's not very bright. But still, you'd think there'd be some interest in it, especially since it's weird characteristics. But no. You can't just step outside with binoculars and check it out. And it's behind the sun right or now. It recently has been. I think it came out from behind the sun either today or yesterday. I can't remember. So telescopes have a tough time seeing it when it's behind the sun or even close to it, because the sun has a corona too, and it definitely keeps you from seeing things that are very close to its surface or even far out, but on the horizon of its surface. Okay. Scientists are being cautious, of course. They have to be, because their whole reputation is on the line. And boy, if they blow it on this one, forget it. Okay. They don't want to blow up the story until the data is solid. No threat to Earth, of course. So that's good. Because a lot of people, there's a passage in the Scripture in Revelation that talks about a flaming star that's going to come through the atmosphere and crash into the ocean. It's going to be called wormwood. And it's going to have the effect of what it would be like if wormwood fell into... Wormwood is a very bitter wood. And if you filter water through it, the water is basically ruined. But and it's supposed to, it kills a third of the fish in the ocean and all the other creatures that live in the ocean too. And imagine what that's going to smell like at the shore. Ooh, I can't even imagine. I don't want to imagine because I might get a little agita and have to go outside real quick and, Okay, all right. Okay, they wanted to blow up the story. No threat to Earth. No crazy visible tail. So no flashy headlines. And let's be honest, the mainstream media has more pressing things to report. Politicians, scandals, sports scores. Oh yeah, sports scores are far more important than what could be the end of the Earth, right? Okay, but here we're not waiting for them. We're talking about it, right? We're putting it right out in the open on Opposing the Matrix here, and on many other shows too. L.A. Marzulli's weighed in on it too. Very interesting. You ought to check him out. He's my Italian brother from another mother, and okay, we're not waiting for them. We're about talking about it because it's rare, unusual, and frankly kind of mysterious and weird. Okay, moving on. So we pose the question: is it a natural comet or something else? Okay, that makes common sense, doesn't it? Okay. Whoa, hold on, folks. Okay. Here's where it gets juicy, though. Could 3i Atlas just be a natural interstellar comet? Absolutely. It fits the profile really well. It's got a hyperbolic orbit, a tail, coma, outgassing. Basically, what that is the constituents inside the coma, different gases and stuff, are as it gets closer to the sun, the comet kind of starts to fragment a little bit. And when it does, it releases all these things, and it melts, of course, as it gets closer to the sun. And I wonder what the average lifetime of a comet is. That's a good question. Man, sorry, folks. All right, absolutely. It fits every profile. Like I said, hyperbolic orbit, tail, coma, outgassing. It behaves like other comets. Scientists have seen this before and say, yep, it's rare, but not impossible. Okay. I know a lot of times when we're watching TV or reading it on the internet or something, it's like, this thing has never been seen. Nothing like this has ever been seen before. Well, yeah, it has, but like it says, it's rare. Very rare, actually. And there's always a but, right? Remember the movie with, what was it, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, when he's talking to the gal and he says, she goes, I want to go to France, but, and he says, he gets mad and he goes, oh, everybody I know has a big butt. I don't know, I thought it was funny when I first saw the movie. There's always a but. Some features are a little off. It's activity far from the sun. In other words, it started outgassing and everything when comets usually don't. I mean, we're talking way outside in the solar system, but outside the planetary orbits. It started doing what a comet would normally do when it gets maybe to around Jupiter. They start really to form a tail and look really wondrous, actually. It has high carbon dioxide levels. Some experts have floated the idea it could be artificial. Yes, I said it. A probe, a spaceship, or some kind of interstellar craft. And I do think that's a good possibility, and I think it fits in with Scripture, too, and we'll kind of talk about that in a little while. Okay, let's see. Yes, okay, let's see. Pardon me if I'm reading along, and it looks like I'm reading, folks. I'm just being lazy tonight, okay? I don't want to think too much, and like Curly said on the Three Stooges, I try to think and nothing happens. Okay. Let's see. Now, I'm not saying we're going to see little green men popping out. Of course, because they would be gray. But Avi Loeb, Loeb, this first name is Avi, AVI, a Harvard physicist, has openly suggested we keep an open mind so we can talk about what ifs all night if we have to. I don't want to, and we're not going to, but we could. All right. Now, I want you listeners to think with me, if it's natural, cool, right? We're learning about other star systems through this thing, okay? If it's artificial, well, that's a whole other conversation, and it's fun to imagine. I don't think it's fun, actually, because it can't be good. So natural or artificial. Okay, so you probably think that I'm out of my mind when I ask if Three-Eye Atlas is both natural and artificial, right? This is where we're getting into, I think, my theory here, if I remember correctly. Man, oh man. Boy, if I didn't have a show every time I had a raspy cough or something like that, there would be no Post in the Matrix. So, excuse my cough, but it's necessary, I guess. Okay, so using the vernacular that everyone else is using, let's look at words. When they use the word natural, they're referring to it as being something not made by man or any other being. It's a rock of metal, dust, and ice, like any other comet. They're using an intelligent. Wait a minute. They're using the artificial to mean that it was manufactured in some sort of way by an intelligence for purposes of space travel or invasion, and fashioned by way that it will be allowed to stealthily travel without any hindrance. What better way to make an invading spaceship or an unwanted spaceship look harmless than to make it look like an asteroid that's just tooling through the solar system and out. No, it's I think that's perfect. It's kind of like the Trojan horse in the Greek stories from old, where they were at war with Troy and decided they wanted to invade, but the wall was impenetrable, and so what they did is they fashioned out of wood. They fashioned a horse. Nobody today knows what it looked like. It could have been quite beautiful because the Greeks were they were artisans and very picky about whether things looked right or not. But anyway, so they fashioned this thing and they hid. I don't know how big it was. It doesn't really say, but it was big enough to hold quite a few soldiers in it. And so they crawled in and then they wheeled the thing out in the middle of the night and left it at the front gate of Troy. And when in the morning the Trojans woke up. I could go so many ways with that. And saw it out there, and they kind of scouted out the area. Are there any Greeks out there? Okay, so let's go out and get this thing. So they bring it in, and obviously I think it was on wheels. They bring it in and put it in the town square, and everybody's looking at it. Oh yeah, that's really nice. Maybe the Greeks have decided that they don't want to war with us anymore, and we'll be having peace really soon. Well, in the middle of the next night, the door opens up at the bottom, and the false door, and a whole bunch of Greek soldiers come out, and basically they opened up the gate and then invaded the city. So when I use that Trojan vernacular, the Trojan illustration, that's basically what I'm referring to, except in a more modern way. Okay. So they could be using it to stealthily get close to Earth, either to monitor us, if this is true, either to monitor us or whatever. But let's not forget that these aren't space brothers. They're not from outer space. They're interdimensional, and they've been around us a long time. Probably created just before we were, and by Yahweh, and decided that they didn't want to be a second fiddle to the Yahweh show, and decided that they wanted to rebel, and they were caught in the act, and so Satan and his angels were cast out. Then they came to Earth in Genesis 6 and tried to corrupt our gene pool. It was a good idea, but it didn't work. Trying to fool Yahweh is like peeing into the wind. you're going to get it all over yourself. Yahweh sees all. He knows all. He knows what's going on. You can't fool him. So to try to do so is ludicrous and proves that probably somebody's pretty insane in order to even try. Okay. All right. Okay, there is a way to use the two words so that it would indicate something that we have never seen before. All right? Remember, we're talking about natural and artificial. Okay? Now, I propose that maybe, just maybe, hear me out, don't leave, just stay here, that the makeup, let's see. I propose that maybe it has an interdimensional traveler. It's an interdimensional traveler. The object is itself. Okay. And scientists have said all along that the makeup of the comet is constitutionally, I said it right, constitutionally different than comets from our own solar system. Yeah, they've said it. That's one of the main things that's got people scratching their heads. And they're saying because maybe in a different star system, things were different when that star system was created or when it was destroyed, and that maybe the things are based on things other than they are in this galaxy, this solar system. But at the same time, you would think that in order to form a planet and for it to be a reasonably good planet, it would have to have the same. You have to have the same physics creating it as we have in our own little solar system here. So maybe not, but who knows? Okay, let's see. Okay, so it's made up of things other than what we find in our own comets in our own solar system. However, if what if somehow or some way an object from a different dimension or universe was made to cross over into our own slice of linear time? Ooh, now we're talking about a real glitch in the matrix, because you're going to have two different dimensions that are kind of getting so close to each other that one could push something through. I don't know. I'm not a physicist, but I do know that many things are possible in this universe, and not all things subscribe to commonality, so to speak. Let's see. Okay, different dimension, or or different different universe. Okay, that was made to cross over into our little slice of linear time. It would be made of elements, albeit if different from what makes up our comets, but it would still be natural according to the rules of the other dimension or other universe, right? In addition, it would be classified as artificial because it is not from our dimension or time slip or whatever. Okay, so if it came from our direct dimension or direct time, linear time, and stuff like that, we could say that it was artificial. It's natural here. But if it comes from another one, it could be called artificial because it's not part of our reality. It's part of another reality, but somehow it's here. So it is artificial. Okay, not that it was made by any other hands or suction cups or fingers the aliens, the fallen angels have. But it adds a different spice, a different flavor to this whole question about this thing. Let's see, and so here's another thing. I don't know if you're ready for this, but if it was a ship that was being piloted by beings from another reality, another universe or whatever, it would totally be artificial by the very definition of the word, okay? Because it would have been made by hands of another universe, in another universe, and at the same time it would be made of foreign objects or foreign materials, which is basically been proven. So it would definitely be artificial. So I hope that makes sense. It does to me. Nobody's typing. Man, it's weird. Okay, so behind the sun and what that means. Okay, hold on a sec. This stuff is pretty good. I don't think I've had it in a number of years. kind of like a, I don't know, like a fresca. Okay, so right now, from our point of view, 3i Atlas is hiding behind the sun, or was up until recently. That's a cosmic hide and seek, basically. Makes observation tricky, of course. You can't see through the sun. Oh man, you go blind trying to. Okay. All right. You need space telescopes or wait for it to hop out onto the other side. And we do have some space telescopes out there. We have some that are dedicated to looking at the sun, but unfortunately they're on our side of the sun, not on the back. Well, I guess it's fortunate for us, because if they're on the other side, we wouldn't be able to use them, right? And of course, hiding behind the sun makes for plenty of speculation. People start asking, are they hiding? Are they hiding it? Excuse me. The timing is suspicious. The truth? Or they could be saying it's just geometry, lights, angles, and the sun in a way. But it makes for great late night chatter, doesn't it? And if you're on the East Coast, this is late night chatter, I guess, huh? Yeah, because 10:30. Yeah, it's pretty late out there. Okay. So let's look at implications, scientific, spiritual, and cultural. Man, we've only been on for a half hour. Seems like a lot longer. All right. Let's go look at the big picture here, okay? Scientifically, this is a gold mine. Studying interstellar objects gives us the insight into other star systems, the other star systems' chemistry. Princess Peach or Shalom Glory, Hallelujah, Yeshua Glory, Hallelujah. I love. Wait a minute. Okay, folks, what happened? I have this thing where I can read into. It turns it into text, and it looks like part of this got mixed up with. I left the text thing on, and wow, that's weird. I'm going to read it to you. It's kind of funny, actually. Princess Peach or Shalom, Glory, Hallelujah, Yeshua, so shallow, Glory, Hallelujah. I love you, He's my Savior. Glory, Hallelujah, He is my Savior. Planet formation, eclectic history. Oh, man. The foofpaw of the century, man. Okay. All right, so let's pretend that never happened, okay? Spiritually, or as I like to call it, the matrix angle, a visitor from outside our solar system reminds us that the world isn't all there is. But you know what? This is getting into New Age philosophy and into old Earthism, and I'm not an old Earther, so let's see. A visitor from outside our solar system reminds us that the world isn't all there is. Okay, humanity's stuck in its routines, but the cosmos, it doesn't care. What if these are visitors are symbolic warnings or invitation? Who knows? It's really weird reading back your own writing. Anyway, all right. Culturally, it's interesting too. People respond to the unknown in fear, fascination, and dismissal. And since the mainstream media isn't shouting about it, that leaves a vacuum, right? Ooh, vacuums like to be filled, don't they? Perfect for podcasts like this, for speculation, and for open-minded listeners like you, right? So let's be thankful that this thing is so mysterious, because if it wasn't, then we'd be talking about something totally different tonight. God knows what, but we would be. Okay. So I tried to put a little funny spin on this, but for some reason it's not working. So let's see. Big folks here. Okay. All right, let's see here. All right, so we're going to have to... I want to, if it's okay with you, and I'm going to do it anyway, I got some videos I want to look at. There's... most of the stuff that you find out there is talking about, it's either talking about, well, rarely are there ones that are talking about it's natural, don't worry about it, go back to sleep. But most of the others are talking about that it's either very unusual, and it's from a different time. Maybe it's been out in space waiting for 20 billion years, or something like that. And others, the other spin on it is that it, like I just said, maybe it's from interdimensional origins, and the other one being that it's an alien spaceship. Okay. But most of the things that I find online, boy, you go to YouTube and you type in 3i Atlas, 3i/Atlas, and you just type that in and you start getting weird stuff. But if you type in real or artificial, or you type in alien spacecraft, my goodness, I think half the world is waiting on YouTube about this thing. So it's fun. If you want to just entertain yourself for a night, just do that. It's hilarious, some of the stuff that's out there. Okay, so like the first two that we're going to look at, that is the videos, is it's talking about the alien or the Space Brothers or something like that. That it's one of their objects or one of their craft. And let's see, that's 1, 2. The third one is going to be talking about a new comet that has come into the solar system, and it seems to be targeting 3i Atlas. Almost like a I was thinking when I first read the article, almost like a heat-seeking missile seeking out a plane. Okay, maybe this thing's rogue. Maybe if it does have creatures in it, maybe they're rebels and they're trying to escape from. We're getting into a whole Star Wars kind of thing now. A whole scenario where we have Jabba the Hutt and Princess Leia and all these other things that totally defy reason and reality. Okay, so let's start with is it an excuse me, I'm tongue-tied tonight, folks. Forgive me. Atlas, alien, or comet? Okay, so let's go there and see what we got here. There we go.
Are aliens headed for Earth right now, today? A theoretical physicist says the answer is maybe. He suggests a Manhattan-sized object known as 3i Atlas could actually be a mysterious alien spaceship. No one knows where it came from, but one Harvard researcher believes there's a 40% chance it was not naturally formed. He said we can't rule out the possibility of an alien invasion. Joining me now, UFO researcher and host of The Vortex, Daniel Allen Jones. Daniel Allen, thanks so much for being with us here today. So let's walk through this. Let's walk through this calm, collected, rational, but not alarmist and not dismissive. This, first of all, is rare. We have a simulated image up here in the studio of 3i Atlas. It is rare, right? This has only been seen 3 times where a quote-unquote comet or some object originates from deep space.
That's right. So the main part about this that makes us unique is that we have the interstellar component. It's not just already here in the solar system, it's coming through from outside. So when you have an interstellar object coming through, we can track them either through deep space or when they come in close, but this one actually came into the planetary plane. That might be a bit unusual. And as you had mentioned, with Dr. Avi Loeb's claims, we can see that there's a bit of sensationalism behind what's being suggested with this being alien technology. But there are some reasons why he's espousing these ideas.
Let's talk about that. There is some unusual observations around 3i Atlas that are leading some people to think, hey, there's a high probability or some level of probability that it's not natural. What are those abnormalities?
That's right. So you can look at what has been detected as far as the chemical composition. They seem to think that with some of the plumes around that there aren't a lot of suggestions of water composition, but maybe high concentrations of nickel, which as we manufacture has low concentrations of iron. And that's what they're finding. And so Avi Loeb has suggested that because of that, it's possible that this is an artificial manufactured object and that it's utilizing its point right now closest to the sun today as what we call the perihelion as an opportunity to either potentially change trajectory. And so we might see that coming after today, with the next few days, weeks, or sometime here in the near future, if it might change direction.
So today it's on the backside, the dark side of the sun. it is being monitored, and this seems to be the moment of truth from what I'm led to understand. If the object changes course or changes speed, that will be an indication that it is not natural?
It could potentially give us an idea that there is some way that we can know more about its intentions. If it is artificial whatsoever, if it has any sort of signature, a techno-signature, a biosignature that we can understand, the Juno project is actually looking at using radio frequencies to detect if there's any sort of material detection that can be found as far as radio waves and things that can help us understand if it does have a signal as it continues to pass on through. But right now, it's something that we'll not be able to see from Earth because it is on the opposite side of the sun.
But I want to be clear. It's already behaving in abnormal ways, and it is behaving in abnormal ways, I believe, to include not normal gravitational expectations. But this moment, and tell me if I'm wrong, is the moment of truth. Like, if it behaves the way something we would expect to behave, with normal gravitational pull, then we can say, okay, it's a comet. But if it does anything abnormal, that really increases the expectation this is a spacecraft.
It's very possible that if, as we know, as our model suggests the universe to be, we would do something to the effect of utilize the gravitational pull of the sun or another star to make changes as we enter into another solar system. If we know that we already are currently looking at those capabilities, why not suggest that another civilization somewhere on the universe might also understand those physics to do that as well?
When do we know?
I would say today it will be difficult for anyone to really have a good estimate, but leading on into the next few days and weeks, we probably will be able to understand a little bit more about its intentions if it is artificial.
All right, and quickly, what do you think? Comet or spaceship?
I'm going to have to lean towards a skeptical eye on this one and say comet, but I would love for there to be a way for us to know in society that we're not alone, and it's highly probable we'll find out in our lifetimes.
Thank you so much for being with us. It's a fascinating conversation. We'll be watching. Hey, it's Will Kane. Click here to subscribe.
Okay. Kind of weird, huh? He used a term that really just kind of ticks me off. The dark side of the sun. Now, how the heck can that happen? I know what he's referring to. It's the side you can't see, like the dark side of the moon. You can't see that. But at the same time, the dark side of the moon is dark. And that's why they call it the dark side of the moon. You can't have the dark side of the sun unless there's some physics that he's not telling us about, and that the sun is flat and it. Oh, I don't want to get into that. Now it's going to start a flat sun society. Oh my God, let's forget about that. Okay, all right. It's here's another video we're going to watch. It's kind of got the same flavor to it, but a few extra things are thrown in. I think are pretty interesting. Okay, here we go.
Astrophysicist Avi Loeb proposed an intriguing idea concerning the interstellar comet 3 I/Atlas. Originally discovered back in 2025, 3 I/Atlas is the third interstellar object to visit our solar system. Scientists confirm its speed and trajectory indicate that it's not bound by the sun's gravity. Loeb suggests that this particular comet might be more than just a typical natural body in space. Expanding on this, he posits that 3 I/Atlas could potentially be some kind of alien probe. Its trajectory, bringing it near Mars, Venus, and Jupiter, could allow for the deployment of probes. The comet's high speed makes interception quite difficult, potentially avoiding any close observation. However, most scientists view 3 I/Atlas as a natural comet, exhibiting typical cometary activity. NASA scientists refute Loeb's claims, stating that 3 I/Atlas behaves like other known comets. Loeb's core hypothesis strongly supports the ongoing search for extraterrestrial intelligence. Loeb maintains the importance of exploring all possibilities in our continuing cosmic quest.
Interesting. Very interesting. Avi Loeb, we're going to see his face more and more as we go along because he's all over the place when it comes to this thing. I would say out of all the videos that are talking about this either being natural or artificial, Avi Loeb's in probably like 99% of them. They're quoting him. Who knows? You know, we're going to find out one day probably. Hopefully not to our consternation, but hey, I don't know. All right, so let's go ahead and look at this next one. Now, this next one's going to talk about this new one that's coming into the solar system, and how it seems to be targeting 3I Atlas. So why would that happen? Is it coming to meet up with it? Is it just like a space brother or an asteroid brother or a comet brother? And they're going to meet and maybe, I don't know what they would do, but either that or is it, is 3I Atlas a rogue spaceship that is trying to escape from another solar system or another reality outside of our own solar system, and maybe it's finally getting caught up with, and so that's pretty interesting to think about. So well, let's go ahead and watch this and see. Maybe you can get something else out of it, and if you do, write to me, okay? Nobody's writing anything today. All right, here we go.
Astrophysicist Abby.
Oh, sorry, wrong one. Here we go.
That smudge turned out to be a brand new comet heading our way that we're now calling Comet R2 Swan. But Swan isn't arriving alone.
Astronomers first thought it was an error, a glare, a glitch in the feed. But then the data held steady, and the object grew brighter. A body 100 times larger than anything near it, moving with impossible precision. They called it Swan, though that name feels almost cruel for what's coming. It's not behaving like a comet, it's changing course, as if watching something. Now, its trajectory locks onto 3I Atlas, and if the readings are right, this isn't a visitor, it's a warning. The arrival of Swan.
Of comet C 2025 R2 Swan as it travels past the stars Spica and the planet Mars.
They thought they'd mapped the sky. Then something massive showed up, something that doesn't play by the rules. It was first spotted on September 11th, 2025, streaking through the dark with a glow so bright that even people with backyard telescopes could see it. They called it Swan, a name that hardly captures its scale. This object is not a comet in the traditional sense. Its size, its shine, and its behavior have forced scientists to question what they are really seeing. When the first data came in, observatories across the world turned their instruments toward it. They quickly realized Swan's tail stretched across the heavens, almost 4 times the width of a full moon. That alone would have made it historic, but there was something far stranger. Another object, known as 3I Atlas, was already on its way toward the sun, coming from the opposite side of the sky. Both objects were expected to reach their closest points within the same 10-day window. The odds of that happening by random chance are so small that some researchers have quietly begun to use another word for it: operation. Swan, officially labeled C 2025 R2, behaves like nothing known in nature. Most comets crumble when they approach the sun.
This episode is about Comet C 2025 R2 Swan.
Their icy surfaces boiling away, but this one didn't. It held together, its light remaining steady, as though something invisible was shielding it. Astronomers began referring to it as the Fortress. The brightness patterns coming from it seem controlled, almost deliberate, like tiny pulses of propulsion hidden in its tail. It is as if this object is maneuvering through space, adjusting its path with precision no random rock could achieve. Meanwhile, its smaller counterpart, 3I Atlas, continues to move in erratic bursts, showing sudden color changes and unpredictable surges in speed. The two objects now appear to be following paths that converge around the sun.
It can be difficult finding comets right after sunset because of the sky glow.
The question keeping scientists awake is simple. What connects them? If Swan is a fortress, could 3I Atlas be a scout? Their timing, their direction, and their shared anomalies suggest coordination. Whatever their origin, they seem linked by purpose. And as the days pass, both continue to close in on the same solar corridor, hidden behind the glare, where human eyes cannot yet see what is really unfolding. The blind spot mystery.
A mystery interstellar object that was spotted by astronomers last week. It could be the oldest comet ever seen.
There are coincidences in astronomy, and then there are patterns that make even the most skeptical minds pause. When scientists plotted the incoming paths of Swan and 3I Atlas on a star map, something astonishing appeared. Swan approached from Aquarius, while 3I Atlas came from Sagittarius, two regions separated by a vast quarter of the entire sky. Yet both entered the inner solar system almost side by side, traveling along orbits that should never have intersected. They reached their closest approach to the sun within just 3 days of each other, a level of timing that nature almost never produces. Random comets arrive years apart, sometimes centuries.
The very next day, it was confirmed to be a comet, and that's why we named it R2 Swan, and it was actually making its closest approach to the sun.
But this was something else. Astronomers began comparing data from observatories worldwide, searching for any natural explanation, and still, the numbers refused to make sense. Then came the blackout. Between October 8th and 18th, Earth's telescopes went blind as both objects slipped behind the sun's glare. During that 10-day window, the two cosmic bodies vanished from sight. This was at the exact moment they were closest to each other and to the sun. No images, no readings, no confirmation. Only silence. To some, this alignment looked less like random chance and more like precision. Their trajectories, angles, and timing formed what scientists call a corridor, a narrow zone in space and time where two orbits meet perfectly. It is the kind of coordination that would require exact knowledge of celestial mechanics, far beyond ordinary probability. If this is coincidence, it is one unlike any seen before. But if it is not, then we may be witnessing something designed. A calculated rendezvous in the one place and moment when human instruments cannot watch. What could be unfolding behind that solar curtain remains the question that no one can yet answer. What NASA won't show about Swan.
Newsfeed now talking about Comet Swan tail brushing past Earth, sending a debris field into our atmosphere.
When energy readings reached impossible numbers, scientists knew something was off. At first, researchers dismissed the strange bursts of light from Swan as typical solar reflection, but the readings didn't match. Swan wasn't just glowing, it was producing energy levels close to 10,000 gigawatts, far beyond anything expected from a frozen mass drifting through space. That number caught everyone's attention. To put it simply, Swan gives off more power than the entire electrical grid of Earth combined. No natural comet behaves that way. It has a metallic sheen, a steady halo, and rhythmic pulses that repeat with the precision of a machine. Some experts have even compared its activity to a propulsion system like plasma bursts guiding it through space. Could it be controlled? That idea, once dismissed as fantasy, is now quietly spreading among astronomers. Many are wondering whether Swan isn't a comet at all, but a form of advanced technology. And that is where things start to connect. If Atlas is acting like a drone, adjusting its path and speed, then Swan may be the source of its commands. A much older, much larger structure that has been traveling for thousands of years, returning now in a timed cycle. With an orbital period stretching over 22,000 years, it could have passed Earth long before recorded history. Maybe it was even seen by ancient civilizations, leaving traces in their carvings and legends. Then, just when excitement reached its peak, data stopped flowing. NASA and the European Space Agency abruptly halted updates. Officially, it was due to the object's proximity to the Sun, a standard safety measure called solar conjunction. But internal leaks tell a different story. Astronomers were instructed not to release images or radar readings, and proposals for new observations were quietly rejected. That blackout only pushed independent researchers to act. Small observatories and backyard astronomers began coordinating privately, sharing raw data in real time. The more they looked, the more it seemed Swan and Atlas were not moving randomly at all. They appeared to be aligning, perhaps even converging, which leads to the question no one can yet answer. What exactly happens when they meet?
Whole weeks apart. It seems that Swan and 3i Atlas are not meeting anytime soon.
Controlled chaos in space. At first, astronomers thought it was a coincidence, a trick of reflected light or the result of solar interference. But as the weeks passed, patterns began to emerge that no natural object should display. 3i Atlas was not only moving, it was maneuvering. Its tail would flare up in bursts so sharp that satellites tracking it had to recalibrate. Each burst came with a distinct shift in color, as though something inside was responding to a command.
Right now, as we speak, 3i Atlas, an enormous glowing object the size of Manhattan.
This wasn't how comets behaved. Natural outgassing happened slowly, driven by sunlight striking ice. What 3i Atlas displayed looked more like control than chaos. 3 distinct accelerations were recorded, each almost evenly spaced, and each demanding more energy than a dozen nuclear plants could produce. Scientists couldn't explain it, at least not publicly. Then came the comparisons. Swan, the larger object already under scrutiny, showed the same behavior, but on a scale 100 times greater. Its massive tail didn't waver aimlessly. It pulsed, forming symmetrical ripples that hinted at a kind of guidance system. Both objects, separated by millions of miles, began to shift their paths in subtle, deliberate arcs. And the strange part? Their movements appeared connected, as though reacting to each other's signals. What could synchronize two objects across such distance? Random chance seems unlikely. For researchers watching from ground-based observatories, the data painted a picture they didn't dare describe aloud. Swan, enormous and steady, adjusting its trajectory.
Of Comet C 2025 R2 Swan.
3I Atlas, smaller and more agile, reacting with timed thrusts. Whatever these things are, they are not drifting, they are navigating. And if the direction they are heading means anything, then their paths are closing in on one another. Whether that meeting will bring answers or more questions, no one can say. But every night, the space between them keeps shrinking. The object that watches back. As Swan and Atlas drew closer to Earth, old patterns began to resurface, and humanity's oldest carvings seemed to stir with recognition. Scientists turned their focus to ancient records, not because they were running out of explanations, but because the orbital path of Swan appeared to trace back tens of thousands of years. Its cycle was measured in over 22,000 years, a rhythm so vast it echoed through ages most historians barely touch. When the calculations lined up with the end of the last ice age, questions emerged that science alone could not easily dismiss. At sites like Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, early builders had left images of spirals and celestial shapes that appeared too deliberate to be random. Some experts began to wonder if those carvings might have been more than symbols. Could they have been memories of something once seen in the sky, an immense glowing body passing overhead while humankind was still learning to farm and build? Those thoughts unsettled more than a few researchers. The idea that what we call Swan could have visited before, long before written language, carried an eerie weight. It suggested a connection between what we now track through telescopes and what our ancestors once watched in fear or awe. If that was true, then this event was not the first time Earth had witnessed its approach. It was a return. Behind official statements, there were reports of quiet movements in orbit. Observers in classified programs had begun monitoring Swan more closely than most satellites. Word spread of a small probe launched from an undisclosed platform, equipped with instruments meant to scan through the dense coma surrounding the object. The goal was simple: determine what Swan truly was. The results, however, were anything but simple. Roughly 1 million kilometers away from its target, the probe's signal began to distort.
The object, if it's technological, it would maneuver some signal, or it will have some artificial lights.
At first, technicians suspected interference from solar radiation, but then a sequence of readings arrived. It was sharp, deliberate, patterned. The last image sent back to Earth showed something impossible. The reflection of the probe itself mirrored perfectly, as though Swan had captured its image and returned it. A moment later, the connection vanished. Engineers studying the data found indications of a field structure, like a web of energy enclosing the object. It behaved less like a natural phenomenon and more like a barrier, absorbing and scattering incoming signals. The term energy wall began circulating quietly among those who saw the raw files. One analyst described it as acting like a Faraday cage in space, capable of neutralizing any attempt to penetrate its surface. If the reports were accurate, then Swan was not only enormous, it was aware of its surroundings. It seemed to react to intrusion, reflecting data back in perfect symmetry, as though testing whoever was watching. For the scientific community, that notion was difficult to process. Comets do not analyze their observers. They do not mimic human technology, yet the data left little room for other interpretations. Each new observation painted Swan as something far more complex than a frozen mass of ice and rock. Its immense size, its repeating orbit, and now its apparent response to human probes all hinted at a structure built with purpose. Beyond coincidence. The further scientists looked, the less sense it made. Data from the Webb telescope painted a picture that no one expected.
Qualitatively speaking, of course, the Hubble Space Telescope.
When its spectroscopic readings came back, researchers noticed something strange in Swan's chemical makeup. Its spectrum revealed traces of complex organic molecules arranged in patterns too precise to be random. In laboratories, these compounds form the scaffolding of amino acids, the first step toward life itself. What unsettled the scientists was not that organics existed there, but how perfectly organized they appeared. Each molecular band looked clean and symmetrical, as though refined through intention rather than chance. Comets normally look messy, with uneven distributions shaped by collisions and temperature swings. Swan's pattern, however, felt designed. It led some researchers to question whether this vast body was merely a drifting object or part of a mechanism built for purpose. Soon a quiet theory began to circulate through academic circles. What if Swan was not only a vessel but a carrier? a structure meant to deliver the raw ingredients of life wherever it traveled. If Atlas functioned as a smaller scout, mobile and reactive, then Swan could be the archive, a kind of seed ship preserving data and organic matter through the void. The idea sounded extraordinary, yet it explained the balance between their movements. One acted, the other endured. Attention then turned to their trajectories. Independent observatories charting both paths noticed something difficult to dismiss. Swan and Atlas were not simply passing through neighboring orbits. Their paths appeared to narrow toward a shared corridor, a zone drawing them near the sun at almost the same time. For two natural wanderers, such accuracy seemed too exact. It looked like choreography, as if they were converging for a meeting planned long ago. The more that pattern repeated across simulations, the stranger it became. Some experts proposed a technical reason. Perhaps both objects used the sun as an energy source, recharging or stabilizing through its radiation. Others imagined a form of exchange, with Atlas transmitting collected data to Swan, which in turn might beam the information outward to destinations unknown. But there was another interpretation that no one could comfortably put into print. What if the alignment had nothing to do with them meeting each other, but with us finally noticing? For thousands of years, they may have moved unseen across the darkness, their returns spaced farther apart than civilizations last. Now, as Earth's instruments reached new sensitivity, the timing had changed. Swan and Atlas approached when humanity could finally observe every signal. It felt less like coincidence and more like an invitation. The thought lingers behind closed doors in observatories and mission control rooms. If these objects are more than natural, then they are watching. And if they have purpose, it might now include us. The lunar signal mystery. The more scientists examined Swan, the more it seemed to behave like a machine rather than a natural object. At first, its brightness was thought to be reflected sunlight, but instruments soon revealed a strange truth. Swan wasn't only reflecting light, it was producing its own radiation, and not just any kind. It was emitting energy in a range almost empty in the natural universe, between soft X-rays and gamma rays. Nothing about this made sense. Comets and asteroids do not create such structured signals. Yet Swan released rhythmic pulses that appeared timed and deliberate. The pattern was so precise that some engineers began to suspect intent. Could it be a form of transmission? Or worse, interference? Ground-based telescopes tried to capture the data, but some arrays in Australia briefly went dark.
The Webb telescope is created by some of the brightest minds in the world, and all of them are going to be watching at the edge of their seats.
Sensors were blinded, and systems reset themselves as if overloaded. One engineer compared it to being jammed, like a signal trying to block detection. That possibility unsettled everyone. If it was capable of disrupting equipment across vast distances, what else could it do? Was this radiation harmless, or could it be a tool meant to control how it was seen?
This is something that we didn't realize before, and they also move without creating an exhaust or breaking the sound barrier.
Swan wasn't behaving like an object drifting through space. It seemed aware of observation. Some began calling it the opposite of the silent Oumuamua. While that one passed quietly, Swan appeared loud, forceful, almost territorial. Then came the next discovery, and it sent researchers into chaos. A sudden burst of energy erupted from Swan, directed not toward Earth, but at the moon. Amateur satellite trackers caught it first. It wasn't random static. The energy wave was layered. It changed in rhythm, tone, and polarization, forming patterns that repeated every few seconds. To specialists, it looked structured, almost like information being sent. But information to what? When NASA's Deep Space Network analyzed the data, they confirmed the burst was aimed at a specific region on the lunar surface. It wasn't the first time this location had puzzled scientists. The area is known for its gravitational anomalies, dense zones beneath the crust called mascons. These sites have baffled geologists for decades. They are heavier than expected, as if something massive is buried deep beneath the lunar surface. Now, with Swan's signal targeting that exact region, theories took a darker turn. Could something under the moon be responding? Or had it been waiting? For years, those mascons were treated as natural leftovers from ancient impacts. But if Swan was activating them, it could mean those formations were never geological at all. They might be engineered. That idea changed everything. Suddenly, the moon didn't seem like a passive satellite. It might be part of a system. Each new reading only deepened the mystery. The emissions from Swan have not stopped. Instead, they now pulse in longer intervals, sometimes aligning with fluctuations observed in Atlas's trajectory. If the data holds true, something enormous could be controlling this sequence. Earth's hidden response. Something began to stir across the planet. though few understood it at first. The changes weren't happening in the sky, but deep within the Earth itself. Magnetometers across continents started picking up strange pulses that came every 43 seconds, each one perfectly matching Swan's radiation bursts recorded in space. The timing was too precise to ignore. It felt as if the Earth was answering back. Soon, seismographs in Antarctica, South America, and parts of Asia began to react as well. They detected ultra-low frequency vibrations that didn't fit the pattern of normal tectonic shifts. No earthquakes, no volcanic activity. Just a steady rhythm that seemed to echo Swan's emissions. For researchers, it was both thrilling and terrifying. If these readings were real, then Swan wasn't just an object passing by. It was somehow influencing the planet itself. Then came the most unsettling part. Migratory animals began to change course all at once. Birds flew in confused formations, whales shifted their paths, and even insects altered their movements. It was as if something had rewritten their sense of direction. Some experts suggested that solar storms might be to blame, but that explanation fell apart when the patterns continued without interruption. Every pulse from Swan was followed by a reaction on Earth, as if a connection had been re-established after being silent for ages. A few scientists quietly admitted what others refused to say aloud. Earth seemed to be resonating, as if awakening to a memory buried deep within its crust. The debate over what caused it continues, but one thing has become certain. This is no longer an event happening far away in space. Swan's influence has reached us, bending magnetic fields, shifting the rhythm of the planet, and maybe even preparing something larger that still waits beyond sight. The lock and the key. The timing, the silence, the precision seemed all too deliberate to be random. Scientists began to connect dots they once dismissed as coincidence. What if Oumuamua, that odd object from 2017, wasn't just a visitor, but a signal? Some began to see it as a lock, something designed to test readiness. Then came 3I Atlas and Swan, moving in perfect rhythm, as if they were two parts of a single plan. One small and fast, like a scout. The other vast and guarded, carrying power that no one yet understood. Now, when Swan released its strongest pulse, both Voyager spacecraft suddenly broke protocol. For a few brief moments, they sent bursts of unreadable data before returning to normal. Engineers said it was a glitch, but the timing matched Swan's pulse exactly. It looked less like a malfunction and more like something had been reactivated, as if those probes had been waiting for a signal since their launch decades ago. That thought unsettled even the most skeptical minds. The James Webb Telescope had been built to look backward in time, to capture the first light of galaxies and understand how the universe began. But instead of showing us the past, it started showing us reflections, patterns that pointed inward, toward our own solar system. The strange synchronization between Swan and 3I Atlas didn't seem accidental anymore. The theory that emerged was both simple and terrifying. Oumuamua had been the lock, 3I Atlas, the key, Swan, the force that turned it. Together they formed a mechanism far beyond human design. Some experts suggested it was an ancient system, something that returns every few millennia to observe, to measure, or perhaps to reset. If so, then our detection of it may have been the event it was waiting for. For the first time, humanity may not be the one looking outward. The evidence suggests that something out there has been watching us, timing its return for when we could finally notice. And maybe, in the grand scale of things, that moment has arrived. The activation. Swan's pulses continue to move through Earth's magnetic field, sending coded waves that touch everything from the crust beneath our feet to the instincts of migrating animals. Each pulse, each echo, seems to remind scientists that Earth has been part of this unfolding event longer than anyone realized. Swan isn't drifting aimlessly, and Atlas isn't passing by without purpose. Together, they behave like elements of a larger system, one that treats Earth not as a bystander, but as a participant. Whether the purpose of this connection is communication, activation, or something entirely beyond comprehension, no one has been willing to confirm. Silence from the world's major space agencies only adds to the growing suspicion that far more is known than has been revealed. Data archives have vanished. Official briefings have turned into quiet redactions. It is as if the moment Swan began interacting with our planet, the narrative was taken out of public hands.
Comet Swan at this point is moving fast through the night sky and makes its closest approach to Earth around October 20.
Scientists who once shared findings openly have now gone silent, describing their work only in vague terms. And maybe that silence is the message itself. If so, then what does it mean? Could observing these events have triggered a chain reaction, one that draws attention not just from Earth, but from whatever sent these objects in the first place? Perhaps what humanity thought was discovery was actually an invitation, or worse, a response. Because if observation itself carries consequence, then the very act of looking up might have already sent a signal across the void. The story of Swan and Atlas is still unfolding. Stay with us. You will want to see what comes next. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.
Wow, that was a quite a bit of information that we got, huh? That was amazing. It just goes to the point more that this is these are not comets. That there's some kind of craft, some kind of probe, maybe probe to see how. Well, I don't want to go that direction, but in essence, if this is like an extraterrestrial sort of thing, or it's supposed to be, or it's being billed like that, then it's being fed to us to deceive us, to make us think that that the Space Brothers are really Space Brothers, and that there's civilizations out there. And as a matter of fact, it said that the one, what was it, the Swan? It said that it was possibly carrying genetic information for almost like planet seeding. Yeah, that was completely New Age science. It really was. And it's a shame that it's not being, well, hopefully we're pointing it out tonight and people will see that, but it's part of a propaganda that that is meant to destroy faith here on Earth. I mean, to a deity, to a person, and ascribe it to the universe or to the universal God, New Age God that's governs all the life and everything in the universe. It's hard to explain, but yeah, it's I don't know. It's Boa eschatology, but what I found interesting is that, and if it's true, that when it sent out a beacon, that both Voyagers went blind. Because I remember when that happened, they said that they couldn't understand what was going on with Voyager because it sent back garbled information, and so what was it doing? Doing that, was that kind of like a proof to prove to us that they are real? I don't know. It's hard to fathom right now. But I do know in the scheme of things that aliens are really fallen angels, and that there's really no life, no I'm trying to think of the word, no sentient. There's no sentient life out in the universe. There may be planets that have been created that have plants and maybe some degree of animals or something like that, but there's nothing that. The whole thing is that when Adam and Eve fell, when Adam and Chava fell, they not only was man affected, and all the animals here on Earth, but the Earth was affected because Scripture says that. But all of creation was affected. Okay, the whole shebang was affected and thrown off kilter. Probably before the flood, you never saw things like, who knows, maybe the asteroid belt was a planet before the flood, I don't know. And then it's just that things are being used and warped and contorted to make it look like that this is a plan that the universe has given to us, not necessarily what Yahweh, our Lord, has given us. So whenever we see stuff like that, whenever I hear billions of years, when I hear about aliens and spacecraft, right away my radar goes on, and I'm like, no, it's this. I should say my shields go up. You know, Scotty, raise shields. You know, and then aye, aye, Captain, and then I have to investigate further, because most of the time, I'd say like 99.9% of the time, when I look into these things, it turns out to be propaganda for the demonic world, for Antichrist and stuff like that. Very rarely is it something that's intended to steer people towards Yeshua, although Yeshua was able to do that because he could do anything. He could take any bad situation and turn it into a glorious situation for his glory. So anyway, there's something to keep in mind that, and I want to go through, in a little while, I want to go through a scenario that I believe is going to happen, okay? But we have one more video to watch, and this is a video of talking about Dr. Stephen Hawking. You've probably seen him. He was a fellow that was in a wheelchair, and he was basically paralyzed, and the way he would communicate is they would take his thoughts, this computer or whatever, would take his thoughts and actually print them out on the screen and also reproduce them through like a voice box machine. And he was quite concerned that we were sending signals out there trying to attract the Space Brothers, because he said, you don't know what you're going to get. You know, you might get people that are beneficial, but, you know, and the way that things work in this universe and in this world, it's always the evil that are strong ones. It's always the ones that come to take away from the have-nots and to keep them more have-nots. So it's quite interesting that here you got this physicist that, as far as I'm concerned, he didn't know Yahweh, and he probably didn't when he passed away. But he was giving us a warning that that if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Okay. I don't know if you remember, Twilight Zone had an episode a number of years ago, 50 plus years ago, 60 maybe, where the name of the title of that specific program was To Serve Man. Okay, and so the whole gist of the show is that these aliens arrive on Earth, and they're your typical 50s looking aliens. That way that they would portray people, you know, they were really tall, really skinny, and they had malformed heads that were kind of longer than they were circular. And so they came and offering all kinds of things to mankind, meeting at the UN with all the countries in the UN. And so they gave this book, I think it was to the UN General Secretary, I can't remember, but anyway, and the title of the book, they didn't know the title of the book. The aliens gave it to mankind, but they said they weren't going to translate it for mankind. Anyway, so these scientists, or these not scientists or researchers or whatever, they get a hold of the book, and they have linguistic experts that try to break down a language and decode it. And so the two characters in this were a guy and his female co-worker, who seemed to be more friends than just co-workers. But anyway, after a while, they finally figured out that part of the title of the book was To Serve Man. And everybody's like, oh yeah, they come to serve us, they come to help us, and everything else. So anyway, this story goes on very quickly, and it says that they started ordering or offering trips to their home planet, and so towards the end of the show, the guy that was helping to translate, he bought into the whole thing. Oh yeah, well, I'm going to go to their planet, I'm going to check it out. And well, anyway, he's on the stairway of the UFO, ready to go in, and this woman comes running up. It was his coworker, and she says, "Oh, you can't get on. Get off. Get off that. Get off right now. Oh, what's the matter? It's like we've decoded the rest of the book." And he goes, "Yeah, and he was kind of looking at her like she was an idiot, like, why would I get off of this thing? This is the opportunity of a lifetime, And she goes, To Serve Man. It's a cookbook. In other words, how to cook man, how to serve him. So anyway, he tries to get off, and they force him back onto there, and it ends with him being in this room, I guess a cubicle of his own, and the alien walks in with a tray of food and says, "You must eat. You must maintain your muscle mass," and stuff like that. Meaning, we don't want to eat something that's just bone and sinew. We want real meat. So anyway, that's the way it ended. But and I see this going in the same direction. That, oh yeah, these things are here. Maybe they're here to benefit us. And I'm like, no. This universe, the corruption in the universe, and the evilness of the universe, the very fallen nature of the whole universe, would dictate that if there are aliens out there, they would be pretty evil. And if they were more technologically advanced than we were, and they were evil, my goodness, the sky's the limit. Carte blanche on the human race, and that's what's kind of scary. And I think what Stephen Hawking is going to get into. I'm going to play it in a second here, but remember the old adage that if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And okay, let's play this, and then we'll get into more stuff. Here we go.
Astronomers are trying to gather information about a comet passing Earth. They figured out this object, now named 3I Atlas, was an interstellar visitor.
On June 30th, just one night before 3I/ATLAS was first detected, a mysterious signal erupted, one no scientist can explain. At exactly 2:13 a.m. UTC, a senior astronomer at the Mauna Kea Observatory began receiving a series of pulses on the hydrogen line frequency, 1,420 megahertz. The precise frequency SETI researchers used to hunt for alien signals. But this wasn't random static. The pulses came in perfect groups of 3, each separated by exactly 47 seconds, 6 flawless repetitions before cutting off. By dawn, the largest interstellar object ever, 3I/ATLAS, had been spotted, emerging from the exact region of space where the strange signal had originated less than 24 hours earlier. Looking back at the signal logs, the astronomer noticed something even stranger. The pulse groups from the signals were spaced almost exactly to match Earth's rotation. That meant whoever sent them had calculated precisely where our planet would be, and when, to deliver the message at the perfect moment. Historical records revealed that we had sent a directed transmission toward that same sector of the sky over 2 decades ago. And now, from that exact direction, the largest interstellar object ever detected had entered our solar system. When 3I/ATLAS was first spotted in July 2025, NASA initially dismissed it as just another comet. But Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb, after analyzing its precise orbit, its unusual planetary flybys, and its imminent disappearance behind the sun, combined with NASA's own trajectory data, concluded there is now a 99% chance it's a spacecraft in disguise. Loeb warns, this is exactly why NASA is pushing the SHIELD 3 program, aimed at creating a rapid response intercept mission. Now, in this video, we will break down Avi Loeb's research paper, show the title Like Before video, on how Atlas is not a rock, but an intelligent extraterrestrial spacecraft, and how it has pinpointed our location by secretly tracing decades of our radio signals and deep space messages. Also, the next threatening move it's likely to make, show the whole PDF scroll the way it resembles the whole paper. The first sign is its sheer size. Early estimates suggested it could be as large as 20 kilometers across, roughly the size of Manhattan. Though,
hey folks, I'm going to break in here real quick. Obviously, I've got the wrong video. I haven't seen any mention of Stephen Hawking yet. Maybe he's in here, I don't know or not, but we still have about 9 minutes and 30 seconds left of the video left, so I'm going to go ahead and play it because it seems like there may be some really interesting stuff in here. So if that's okay with you, and I hope it is, we're going to go ahead and finish playing this, and then we'll finish our reading, okay? Or my reading, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so here we go.
Loeb believes the solid body might be smaller, hidden beneath a massive halo of dust. Yet even if it's only a fraction of that size, it's still enormous for an interstellar visitor. Based on our surveys of the sky, an object this big should only pass through our solar system once every 10,000 years. That immediately raised the question, why now? And why this one? Then came the coma and tail problem. In a typical comet, solar heating releases gas, and that gas carries dust outward, forming the coma and trailing tail. Without gas, there should be no dust, yet deep Hubble images reveal that 3I/ATLAS has a bright structured coma, and, strangely, the glow is in front of it, not behind. Some particles even appear to be streaming forward, against the push of solar radiation. Its velocity added to the mystery. 3I/ATLAS is racing through space at 245,000 kilometers per hour, about 152,000 miles per hour. At that speed, it could cross the entire United States in under 2 minutes. No natural comet of its size is known to travel that fast without some kind of external push. Its trajectory deepened the puzzle. Rather than plunging in from a random angle, it's moving in near-perfect alignment with the flat orbital plane of our planets. Along the way, it will pass unusually close to Venus, Mars, and Jupiter. using their gravity in a series of optimal slingshot maneuvers, the same method space agencies deliberately plan for their own probes. Loeb calculates the odds of a natural object hitting this exact sequence by chance at just 1 in 20,000. The timing seems equally deliberate. Its closest approach to the Sun will occur when Earth is on the opposite side, meaning that for several weeks in late October 2025, it will be hidden in the Sun's glare. During that time, we will have no way to see it. No radar contact, no optical tracking. For a natural object, this could be coincidence. But for something under intelligent control, it would be the perfect moment to make a course change, unseen. This behavior doesn't match any known natural process. In fact, the nucleus, the solid core, is smaller than expected for such brightness, while the coma is brighter than models predict. That mismatch suggests the light may not be entirely from the Sun at all. It could be reflections from an unusually smooth or engineered surface. Even its origin is suspicious. It is arriving from the direction of the Milky Way's dense central region, yet its final approach vector came through a relatively empty patch of sky, making detection far more difficult. We only spotted it thanks to a narrow observation window in July. Had it arrived just a few months earlier or later, we might never have seen it. Stephen Hawking warned against broadcasting our presence to the cosmos. His concern was straightforward. Any civilization capable of reaching us would almost certainly have technology far beyond our own. They might see us not as equals, but as a potential threat, a young species advancing quickly toward interplanetary capability. In the dark forest view of the universe, advanced civilizations stay silent to avoid drawing predators. If they detect a noisy newcomer, they may choose to act before that newcomer becomes too powerful. Since the intentions of any newly contacted civilization can never be known, it's safest to shoot first and ask questions later, in order to prevent the potential extinction of one's own species. The analogy is chilling. The universe is like a dark forest full of hunters. Everyone stays quiet because if you make a sound, you risk being found and eliminated. Not out of malice, but out of survival. If 3I/ATLAS is truly alien technology, it could mean we've already broken the one rule: stay silent. For more than a century, we've been sending signals into space, and most people have no idea just how much those signals reveal. In 1974, the famous Arecibo message beamed out details of who we are, the structure of our DNA, our place in the solar system, and even our population count, aimed at a star cluster 25,000 light-years away. Later came transmissions like Cosmic Call and Hello from Earth, each packed with more information about our species. To the public, these seemed like harmless gestures of curiosity, but any advanced civilization with a sensitive enough receiver could not only decode them, they could use the timing and frequency of those signals to pinpoint our exact location in the galaxy. And it doesn't stop there. Every day, our radio and TV broadcasts leak into space, spilling out more clues than most people realize. To an advanced listener, those signals are a goldmine. They could reveal the gases in our atmosphere, the extent of our pollution, the exact rhythm of Earth's rotation, its size, and even the sophistication and limits of our technology. In short, we haven't just told the universe where we live. We've handed over a blueprint of our world. Now, why is a comet the perfect camouflage? Loeb has spent years urging scientists to keep an open mind about the possibility of interstellar technology visiting our solar system. His thinking is straightforward. If we humans have sent probes like Voyager and Pioneer out of the solar system, there is no reason to assume no one else has done the same. In fact, with billions of years more time to develop technology, another civilization could easily send highly advanced probes across the galaxy. One way to do this, and remain completely undetected, would be to disguise a craft as a comet. From a scientific perspective, this is both practical and clever. After all, a comet is essentially a rocky core wrapped in volatile ices. As it nears the sun, those ices vaporize, creating a bright coma and tail that hide the solid object within. Telescopes cannot penetrate this haze in any real detail. By encasing a spacecraft in a thick shell of ice and dust, you could shield it from cosmic radiation, protect it from micrometeoroids, and, most importantly, make it look exactly like a natural comet. Any heat from internal systems would be masked by the chaotic thermal signature of the venting gases. Even radar would be scattered by the rough, porous surface. To any observer, it would be indistinguishable from the real thing. This concept, an ice-clad probe, is not science fiction. NASA has actually studied ice shielding for human missions beyond Earth, both for radiation protection and as a potential in-flight resource. The engineering is sound. The advantage for a covert mission is obvious. No one questions the presence of a comet in a planetary system. It's the perfect camouflage. And so the question becomes, is 3I/ATLAS just an icy interstellar relic, or is it an engineered vehicle traveling under a comet skies? Loeb's team lays out the probabilities. A mere 0.2% chance of its orbital plane alignment happening randomly, a 0.005% chance of the planetary flybys occurring by coincidence, and a conveniently timed sun-hidden period at perihelion. Each factor on its own might be dismissed as luck. Together, they hint at something far more deliberate, the possibility that the trajectory was designed. Right now, 3I/ATLAS is near Jupiter, still holding to its predicted path. But if it uses the sun's blinding glare to alter course, we won't know until it emerges weeks later. By then, its new trajectory could place it much closer, perhaps directly on approach. And if it hits Earth at such speed, the consequences would be unimaginable. The impact of a 12-mile-wide object would unleash energy millions of times greater than the most powerful nuclear bomb ever detonated. Oceans would surge into tsunamis taller than skyscrapers. The skies would ignite with global firestorms. Sunlight would vanish behind a shroud of dust for years. Agriculture would collapse. Species, including ours, could disappear entirely. And that's if it were nothing more than a natural rock. If it's an armed craft, the outcome is beyond anything we can imagine. Then there's the most ambitious idea currently on the table, using NASA's Juno spacecraft, now orbiting Jupiter, to stage a flyby of 3I Atlas in early 2026. The plan, proposed by Avi Loeb and collaborators, is daring. It would require Juno to slingshot around Jupiter for a massive boost, the kind of maneuver that could bring it within range of the object as it leaves the inner solar system. On paper, the math works. In reality, Juno's main engine is damaged, and its remaining fuel might not be enough for such a precision strike. Some in the community call it a brilliant use of existing hardware. Others call it reckless fantasy, but all agree on one point. If it could be done, it would give us our first ever close-up view of an interstellar visitor. And there are whispers of another program from NASA, informally called SHIELD 3, aimed at developing a rapid response intercept mission. The concept, as described by those familiar with the planning, would involve modifying an existing high-speed spacecraft design and equipping it to either study the object up close or, if necessary, attempt to disable it. A nuclear payload has even been mentioned. However, the technical challenges are enormous. Matching velocity with an object moving this fast is far beyond our standard chemical rockets. To have any hope of intercepting it, the mission would need to launch early and aim to meet the object far from Earth. So, do you still think it's just a comet? Or is it an alien craft in disguise? An actual ET visitor hiding in plain sight? Comment below, and if you want to follow every update of this comet, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. This is one story you won't want to miss.
Pretty interesting, huh? Yeah. All of these are leaning towards the extraterrestrial notion that these things are artificial and they're here to either study us or, God help us, destroy us. But you know what? We have something. We have a guarantee. We have a life a life insurance policy, and his name is Yeshua. And because so many prophecies about his first coming became true and were fulfilled in him, we know that Scripture is true. And if those prophecies were fulfilled, then there's, I think for every one that was fulfilled, there's 3 that have not been fulfilled yet. So, taking that into account, Yahweh is bound by his own oath, his own name, to fulfill all those prophecies, and they totally go against what these doom and gloomers. Remember, they used to call Christians doom and gloomers because they'd always be out the with a placard around them or something that said, "The end of the world is coming, repent." And man, those guys and women that did that were very brave, because they got a lot of flack for what they did. But in either case, all these things that we're hearing, as scary as it is, as dig a hole in your backyard and build a shelter because all hell's going to break loose. You know what? We can't live like that. We can't live with that speculation of that happening. We have to we have to live, we have to move forward because Yahweh, we want that to happen. We have to, it says, preach the gospel to every creature, okay? The word creature it basically means creature. It could be humans, it could be animals, but it also could be the demoniacs. It could be anything like that, because at least they're getting the word, They can never in the judgment say, oh yeah, you know what, I never got a chance, And if a person wants to be free enough, they'll seek out and will find a person that can set them free from demonic possession. So anyway, let's. I wanted to say that because it sounds like it sounds like it's hopeless. If this thing's an alien ship, well, what if it is an alien ship? And what if it is fallen angels and kind of a insert or an attachment to the prophecies of things that are supposed to happen at the end before the return of Yeshua? It's got to happen, right? Okay. So I want to go back and. I got a little bit more to talk about in this stuff that I wrote. Okay. Let's see. All right. Let's see. Again, we have to ask ourselves: is it a natural comet or alien probe? What do you think? Folks. I know nobody's into writing tonight. That's okay. But maybe you can send me an email and tell me what you think. What I should do is start putting polls on this radio show so that people can answer, and I could do that, and I'll figure out how to do it, and maybe by next week we can explore that possibility. So anyway, oh goodness, all right. So let's see, I'm going down here and. Summary and closing. Okay. We're almost getting to the point where I'm going to get into what I'm going to say about this, what my feelings are. Okay. You may have the same feelings. You might say, "Hey, Dave, you're crazy. Don't ever talk to me again. You're crazy." But I'm going to say it anyway. Let's see. So here's the deal. 3i Atlas is real, moving fast, and it's not from around here. Okay. Scientists say natural comet. Others suggest other possibilities. Behind the sun, faint and unusual. It offers plenty of mystery. Spiritually, culturally, and scientifically, it makes us look look up and think bigger, or wonder and in awe. Actually, now here, I'm going to put something forward to you, and then I'm going to expound on it. Because we're at an hour and 45 minutes almost, and I don't want to go past 2. Okay. By the way, I want to say hi to my friend Lou and his son Joel, who are visiting on Telegram. Hi guys, it's good to see you, and if you're still here, hey, thanks for joining us. So Eileen, part of me I'm torn about this. Part of me wants to lean towards a natural comet. That's what I would like it to be. Okay, or an unnatural comet, meaning that it comes from other sources. But I keep my eyes open, and I suggest that we all do the same. Okay. Now I'm torn what to believe about this phenomena. The safe approach would be to say that it's just an unusual comet. Some in the scientific realm say that since it wasn't formed in our solar system, it must have a different composition than our comets, and I can almost see that a little bit. It came into our solar system with incredible speed, and if reports are believable, it seems that as if someone is maneuvering it. Okay. Some reports, again, if genuine, state that the thing has flashed pulses of light towards the Earth, and we heard tonight towards the moon. If it's said, it is said by others that it can slow down or it can speed up. And we heard that tonight too. That can speed up on its own. And an object that's that massive and traveling at that speed can't do that very easily. It would have to be controlled by somebody who could turn on thrusters that would stop, the whole 9 yards. It's not going to do it on its own, so to speak. So it seems that if someone's maneuvering it, some sort. Okay, let's see. It's said by others that it can slow down or speed up on its own. All these things and more led to the speculation that the object is anything but a comet. Right? In a way, this is a true Matrix moment, isn't it? It screams out, Matrix, Matrix. Okay. Okay, so if you accept that it's just a comet, it can be nothing else, you've basically taken the blue pill, and that's okay. All right? And you'll fall asleep and wake up tomorrow, and the comet will be ancient history. It's going to take longer than that, of course, but you wouldn't have worried about it. You were just, okay, well, it's just something natural that we have no control over. So, now, if you think that it's more than a comet, then you've taken the red pill because you want to know so much more about this and to investigate. And you want to investigate more. Investigation can go only in two main directions. You can research and see that the thing is stranger than you've ever thought, leading to many other rabbit holes that you could travel down. However, your research might lead you to the revelation that the 3I Atlas is in fact an unusual comet. You have to accept it then. But before we leave, let's take a look at a scenario that could possibly play out if it's proven not to be a comet. All right, you ready for this? Strapped in, buckled in. Liftoff is going to be in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Researchers have been studying this alien object that entered into our solar system. At first thought it to be harmless. Yes, they were curious as to why this comet could speed up and slow itself down, and they wondered about the tail because it didn't have one for a long time. And sometimes it was pointing towards the sun instead of away, which is weird. Yeah, okay. I just said that. Okay. Anything odd about this object would be ascribed to the notion that the object came from outside the solar system, thus it should have behaved differently, maybe by a different set of rules. But then there's physics, and physics cannot be voided. It cannot be changed, okay? So it has to go by some kind of physics that are akin or equal to or are our normal physics, okay? All right. As the object approached the sun, it started to do strange things. It slowed down, and it almost seems like it was interacting with the sun. As it continued to move, the blinding light of the sun made it impossible to see the object. Remember, it's on the dark side of the sun. That's a Yogi Berra term right there. All right. Let's see. So as it continued to move, blinding light of the sun made it impossible to see the object. Astronomers were quite edgy at this time because the object was not visible for a time longer than they had anticipated. Okay. Then almost, this is a story, folks, okay? Then almost as if time had been warped around the object, it was in Earth orbit. Officials in the military and every political faction on Earth tried reaching out to the object or to the beings that must be inside. Everyone who tried to summons a response from the object only received a message that read, "Be at peace, I am." All of those who received that message were clueless as to what the message meant. Some of the scientists who had a brush with religion recognized the term. It came from both the scriptures, the New and the Old Testaments or covenants. They found that it was a term that Yahweh used in Exodus, and when he came out, when he came as Yeshua, a name that only God would fight, had the right to use. Remember, I am as I am. Okay, when this revelation was broadcast over the media, it was like a key that opened the door to a dialogue between the object and it was addressed to the planetary people. The good news that Messiah had returned. In what seemed to be like the twinkling of an eye, storm clouds formed over every large population center of the earth. These clouds were dark and ominous, but they were hiding craft that had come out of the now defunct comet. In Washington, D.C., a large ship hovered over the Capitol, and then it moved over the Pentagon, causing everything electrical and mechanical in that destination. From there, it moved into the White House and landed on the lawn, the front lawn. A voice could be heard in everyone's mind. by telepathy. Many years ago, I left Earth in the clouds, but it was announced that I would return in like manner. Today I have come in the clouds with great glory. I have come back to bring everlasting peace on earth, to set the captives free, and to rule this world forevermore. Now, doesn't that sound like something Yeshua would say, right? Okay. From that point, this so-called Messiah disappeared, but seconds later he was standing in front of the United Nations. But even more miraculous, so was every world leader, all of whom had been instantly transported there from their home capitals. The rest could be left up to your imagination, folks. Yes, it is fiction, right now anyway. However, many things that have come into reality from fiction are fact today. Could anti-Messiah come in this manner? Could he in fact be an alien human hybrid that will be seen as having powers that are supernatural? Of course, only time will tell, but any number of combinations, as long as they lined up with Scripture, are possible in order to fool the elect, so to speak. We know that there is a New Age Jesus, or they say there is, and that they say that the New Age is planning on their own little type of rapture, and we know that the Antichrist will mimic the real Messiah as much as he possibly can. We will see the building of a biblical scripture and New Age dogma as a doctrine for the last days. Okay, hold on a sec. Scroll. Okay. The forces of darkness will melt biblical scripture to all the other scriptures of every religion on earth. So much so that the only ones that will not be believed are those who are solid, born again in a relationship with Yeshua. The only thing left to do is to watch for it to come and resist it with everything that you have and everything that you always and everything that Yahweh gives you. Okay. Okay, so that's my premise, folks. That if this is an alien ship, it's possible that it could be ushering in the Antichrist, who I believe is going to be a human-alien hybrid, who's just going to have very strong supernatural powers. And of course, he's going to have the help of Satan and the false prophet, which is another guy that's coming on the scene. But anyway, Yeshua said, when I come back, no, actually the angel said it after the Yeshua left. It says the people were staring up at him, and then there was some angels that said, what was it, "You men of Galilee, why do you stand there," paraphrase, "awkwardly standing there staring?" He said, "The same Jesus that was taken up from you will return in like manner, in the clouds with great glory." Okay, so in our technical age and everything else, with so much of a fascination in aliens, what would be more sensational than the Antichrist coming back in a UFO? That came, the UFOs would be enshrouded or encapsulated within the clouds as everything moved to where their destination was, and then they would be revealed and it would land, and then the one that carried the anti-Messiah would be the one that lands in the most important place on earth right now anyway, which is Washington, D.C., the White House. And from there, things would move along to establish his kingdom here on earth. It's not impossible. As a matter of fact, it's probably it's fairly probable that this is the way it would happen. And when I said that, the message said that "Be at peace, I am." I am is the term that Yahweh used to represent him when Moses was first commissioned and sent back to Egypt to talk to the sons of Israel that were in slavery at that time in Egypt, and Moses was like, "Well, I just can't go in there and say God sent me. Do you have a name?" And he says, "I am that I am." And now, if you look at that phrase, it's Eya Asher Eya, and it has an imperfective something. meaning that it could mean not just one thing but many things. So he could be saying, "I am that I am," could mean I am what I was, I am what I will be, I was what I am. Use those all the time factors you need to describe Yahweh, and that's what he was saying. And so when the Israelites heard that, of course they knew right away what he was talking about, but they got kind of pissed at him and wanted to kill him. But I think Aaron stood up for him, and that was that. But so I have no doubt that when the Antichrist comes, he's going to use the name I am, and he's going to usurp that name and that authority and fool the whole bunch of people on earth, except for the elect, who will not believe it. And if you have a relationship with Yeshua HaMashiach and he's your Lord and Savior, and you are one of his, then you will be considered one of the elect, and you will know the truth from falsehood, from reality. You see, folks, the whole thing is that in order to become familiar with something, you have to spend a lot of time with it. A good illustration would be a person, I don't know if they do this anymore, but when a new person comes to work in a bank, what they do right away is they put him in this one area where he counts money. He has to feel it with his fingers. He has to know what it feels like. And through that, he gets a feeling of what the genuine article is. Okay, and that way when he's counting money and he feels something strange, now this isn't right, and he looks, and sure enough, it's counterfeit. So that's how we can tell what a counterfeit is, but you can only tell if you spent time with the genuine article. And that's why we are encouraged in Scripture to read our Scriptures, to pray constantly without ceasing, to get to know Yahweh so well that when some impostor comes, we can say, "No, you're wrong. You're not the one." So that's what's very important, that we spend that time with him and forsake other things that you want to do and do that, because it's basically, and not even technically, your life depends on it. Okay. So anyway, I just want to thank you for tuning in today, and my friend Lou and his boy Joel, thank you so much for being here, guys. I don't know if you're still here. I haven't seen a response yet on Telegram, but anyway, I really enjoyed the show tonight, and it kind of makes up for last Tuesday when I was acting like I was comatose or whatever. But anyway, yeah, I really appreciate you, my audience, because there's not many of you, but in every true, or every I don't want to call us a movement. We're not a movement, but let's just say ministry or group. Let's say group. In every group, there are those who are sold out to the group, and there are those who are kind of iffy, and there are those that are just there and just are passing by. But I know that a lot of you, according to what Rumble tells me anyway, like 3.1 thousand of you are members, and I don't know how much you all listen, but just knowing that you're all there just blesses me a whole bunch. And I know that we're only going to grow larger because now we're on so many venues, and it can only get better. But I'm just really thankful, and it's even if one person showed up to watch this show and got something out of it, then everything was worth it. Everything was worth it. So if that's you, hey, go with the flow, man. We'll be back on Tuesday with more stuff, and might go back to our series. I don't know. That's a possibility. We've got a lot to do in that, and it's kind of helping us to get to know Yahweh a lot better. So look at that. We're at an hour and 58 minutes. We got to get out of here, folks. All right. May Yahweh bless you and keep you. May He make His face to rise upon you and be gracious unto you. May He watch your going out and your coming in. May He watch your rising up and your lying down. May He bring you the peace that passes all understanding. And may He this weekend give you something that will blow your socks off, man. That'll just cement the fact that He loves you and that He wants you to be His child forever and ever. And if you already are, that will cement that relationship even more. All right. Well, it's adios from cloudy and rainy Cottage Grove, Oregon, and I just pray you just have a wonderful weekend. I can't emphasize that enough. we go through so much here, all of us during the week, and the weekends are special to us, and we love them and we relish them. And if you celebrate Shabbat on Saturday, Shabbat Shalom. I'll say that early. And anyway, I'm stalling again to get off of here. So, hey, in the name of Yeshua, just live long and prosper, okay? And we will see you on Tuesday. All right. Love you guys. Stay strong in the Lord and the power of His might. Bye now.